Let me tell you something that most people overlook. When a woman goes silent, the world around a man doesn't get quieter. It gets louder. Her silence doesn't bring him peace. It unleashes a storm inside him that he never saw coming. People often think silence is nothing, that it's passive, weak, empty, but no, silence is everything. Because when a woman who used to call, text, check in, ask how he's doing, suddenly goes quiet, his peace walks out the door with her. A man's mind doesn't rest when she goes silent. It gets restless. It gets loud. It becomes a battlefield of farts, questions, and echoes of the voice he took for granted that at first. He'll pretend it's no big deal. He'll act cool. He'll tell himself she's just mad or she'll be back. He'll carry on like your absence is just a passing storm. But this silence, it sticks. It lingers like a song stuck in his head, looping in the background of his day. Every time he checks his phone and your name isn't there. Every time he reaches for a routine that once included you, he feels it. That absence, it's deafening, because a man's life runs on rhythm, and when he gets used to your presence, your good morning texts, your late night talks, your emotional support, that rhythm becomes a part of him. So when you break it with silence, this stillness doesn't bring calm, it brings confusion. He hears the quiet in the moments where he once heard your laughter. He feels the emptiness in the space your energy used to light up. And here's the part that shakes him in your silence. He starts hearing himself, and that's something men rarely do until they're forced to. He hears your voice again, not your actual words, but your tone, the concern in your questions, the weariness behind your "I'm fine," the frustration you masked with patience, everything he ignored while you were still speaking. Now, in your silence, it echoes loud and clear. You see, most men aren't taught to self-reflect until something disrupts their routine. And your silence becomes that disruption. It shakes him, because now he's not just missing your voice. He's facing his own behavior. That it's not that he never cared, it's that he got comfortable. He got careless. He assumed you'd always be there, and when you go quiet, reality hits like a wave. He remembers the little things. The way you always checked in when he was distant, how you supported him without asking for anything in return, how you held space for his emotions, even when he never asked how you were doing. And now, no one's asking how his day went. No one's cheering him on from the background. No one's carrying the weight of his silence like you once did. That absence, it screams louder than any fight ever could. So what does he do? He distracts himself, hits the gym, hangs with his boys, posts like everything's normal. But silence, it follows him. It finds him in the quiet before he sleeps. It whispers to him when he scrolls past something that reminds him of you. And those whispers, they turn into questions. Why did she stop calling? Did I push her too far? Is she gone for good? And those questions, they don't fade. They grow. Because now, He's left sitting with the version of himself that made you go silent. And that version of him, that's not someone he's proud of. He remembers the times he let you down, the effort he didn't make, the things he took and never gave back. And now, with no more voice to drown out the truth, he hears it all. He hears the sound of a door closing. Even if you never said goodbye, he hears your love, your loyalty, your consistency, and he fears it may be gone for good. That silence, it doesn't bring peace. It brings clarity. It brings consequences. Because when a woman goes quiet, a man is finally left alone with the truth. So after that silence creeps in, after she stops calling, stops checking, stops trying, something deeper starts to shift. Because while she was still speaking, even if she was hurting, he still had a shield. Her voice gave him cover, and her effort gave him the illusion that he still had time. You see, when a woman talks, asks questions, points things out, expresses her needs, a man can still hide. He can joke it off, deflect, pretend he's too busy, or accuse her of being too emotional. As long as she's speaking, he can convince himself she's still fighting, still hoping, still their dot. But when she stops, when that once familiar voice goes completely quiet, that's when everything changes. That's when reality crashes through the door like a wave he didn't see coming. No more distractions, no more cover, no more excuses to cling to. Her silence becomes a mirror he can't look away from. He walks around with a lull, nagging discomfort, a sense that something is deeply off, even if he can't quite explain it out loud. Why? Because deep down, he knows exactly what it means. He knows her silence isn't accidental. It's not petty. It's not a game. It's a message. It means she's no longer entertaining the lies he told himself. She's no longer trying to save something he refused to nourish. And now that her voice is gone, now that there's no emotional glue holding things together, he's forced to face what's really there, or worse, what's no longer there. Silence has a brutal honesty to it. It strips away every excuse a man once made. He can't blame her tone. He can't criticize her timing. He can't twist her words. Now it's just him and the choices he made, the conversations he shut down, the feelings he ignored, the effort he didn't give. When a woman finally goes silent, he's left to confront the empty spaces he never filled. And it's not because she wants revenge. It's not punishment. It's just that she's done stretching herself in to keep the connection alive. Now, without her voice covering the emotional gaps, what echoes back at him is the sound of his own neglect. And that silence, it's not empty, it's full of everything he refused to hear before. He begins to notice the absence not just in words, but in energy. She used to show up in these small ways, checking in, remembering the little things, offering quiet encouragement when he couldn't even articulate his needs. She was his emotional safety net. And now it's gone. and the realization starts to set in. He took it all for granted. He didn't realize how much emotional noise she carried for him until she put it down. She was the one who breathed life into him when he had nothing to give. She believed in him when he didn't believe in himself. She kept trying over and over to pull him closer, to get him to meet her halfway. But each time she was dismissed, she pulled back just a little more, until one day she stopped completely. And now the silence is deafening. He finds himself replaying past conversations in his head. The things she said, how she said them, how easily he brushed them off. He remembers the look in her eyes when she was barely holding it together. He sees the pain he never acknowledged, not because she started saying new things, but because she stopped saying anything at all. Her silence, it's not a void, it's a message written in stillness. And the part that hurts the most, the truth that she didn't just fall silent out of nowhere. She waited. She gave time. She gave chances. She gave warnings, some loud, some subtle. But eventually, she got tired. Tired of screaming without raising her voice. Tired of pouring her heart into a cup that never turned toward her dot. And now that the effort is gone, now that silence has taken its place, he finally sees. She didn't give up, she let go. There's a difference. Letting go doesn't always come with explosions or tears. Sometimes it arrives as a quiet shift. No announcement, no final speech, just silence. And he feels it, not just in her absence, but in the emotional weight she used to carry. She was the glue. She was the softness when life got sharp. She was the calm in his chaos dot. And now, without her, everything feels more jagged. Everything feels colder. He starts to wonder, will she ever speak again? Is this silence temporary or is it permanent? And that's when the panic sets in, because he doesn't know how to fix silence. He knew how to dodge her words. He knew how to say just enough to keep her from leaving. But this silence, it's unfamiliar, it's painful, because you can't argue with silence. You can't explain it away. You can't pretend it's not there. It follows him day after day, reminding him of what he lost, or worse, what he's about to lose. For good, silence doesn't need to scream to be powerful. It speaks without words. It forces him to face the unfiltered version of himself, not the polished act he shows the world, but the man she saw behind closed doors, the one who made her tired, the one who made her question herself, the one she finally chose to stop chasing. And now, he's looking for the exact moment your presence slipped away. Because when you go silent, a man starts to unravel in ways the world never sees. Outwardly, he might still look the same. He might laugh, talk, even go on with his day. But inside, he's haunted by the quiet. And once this silence settles in, once her voice fades into the background, he doesn't move forward. He gets stuck in a loop, mentally rewinding old memories like a broken tape, playing back conversations he once brushed off, searching for the exact moment things began to shift. He becomes a detective in his own past, scanning every word you said, every glance you gave, every moment he might have dismissed. And the hardest part, the realization doesn't hit him all at once. It doesn't come with fireworks or breakdowns. It comes slow, creeping in like a long shadow stretching across the floor as the sun begins to set. At first, he tells himself, it's nothing, you're just having a rough day. He thinks, you just need some space. Maybe you'll text later. Maybe things will go back to normal. But when that silence stretches into multiple days, and those days start to feel strange, unfamiliar, distant, his mind starts spiraling, not in a light or curious way, but heavy, weighted with something he can't quite name. Because now, there's nothing to respond to, no message to answer, no disagreement to solve, just silence. And in that silence, he starts going back, far back, not just to last week, not just to last month. He goes all the way back to moments he thought were insignificant, moments that felt too small to matter. He remembers the time you looked at him differently, and he didn't bother to ask why. He recalls when your laugh started fading, when his jokes stopped landing, and he just ignored it. He replaced the time you asked, "Are you happy?" and he mumbled something half-hearted, just to avoid opening up. Now, in your silence, he sees all of it, because when a woman stops speaking, the man starts hearing everything she was trying to say. For he realizes how loudly you were trying to love him, and how quietly he failed to match that love. Your silence doesn't just remove your presence, it shines a bright light on his past behavior, the small things he once thought didn't matter, like walking out instead of staying to talk, forgetting something important to you, then brushing it off with a joke, or that weekend you were clearly withdrawn, and instead of asking why, he took your silence as a break, not a warning. All those moments come rushing back louder than ever, because now he sees the truth. They weren't isolated events, they were signs. He starts asking himself the questions that don't come with easy answers. When did she start pulling away? Was it when I stopped listening? Did she go quiet because she was done, or because I never truly heard her? And these questions haunt him, not because he knows the answers, but because now, for the first time, he wants to know. He wants to go back and notice what he missed. He wants to remember the tone in your voice, the change in your energy, the way your eyes stopped lighting up like they used to. He starts scrolling old photos, old texts, call logs, anything to feel close again. But instead of comfort, he finds evidence of how much you gave, how much you reached, how many times you showed up emotionally while he was emotionally absent. He doesn't just see the highlights anymore. He sees the red flags that were quietly waving behind the smiles. The way your "I'm fine" started showing up more often. The way your replies got shorter. The way your smiles stopped reaching your eyes. And in that silence, in the vacuum of your absence, the truth finally echoes. He hears your voice more clearly now than he ever did when you were speaking. Not the actual words, but the meaning behind them. He remembers the moment you said, "I just want to feel seen," and how he thought you were overreacting. Now, he understands you weren't being dramatic. You were pleading. You were giving him one last chance. He remembers when you said, "I don't feel like I matter," and how he dismissed it like it was nothing. But now he sees it for what it was, a warning, the final flicker before the light went out. What makes it even more painful is the regret. It hits like a wave, crashing over every single memory. He regrets not holding you tighter. He regrets assuming you'd always be there. He regrets not being more present, more intentional, more aware. Because now, it's not just that he misses you. He's grieving the version of himself that didn't know how to love you the way you needed. He replays everything again and again, hoping to rewrite it, hoping to undo the damage, thinking, if I had just listened that one time, if I had just taken her seriously, if I had just shown her that she mattered. But silence doesn't offer do-overs. It only offers clarity, and in that clarity, he realizes what he's lost. Not just your words, not just your presence, but the connection you were once willing to fight for. He realizes you weren't being distant. You were being drained. You weren't trying to leave. You were trying to hold on. You weren't giving up. You were fading. And while he thought everything was fine, you were making peace with walking away. Now all he can do is rewind again and again, trying to find the moment love slipped through his fingers, trying to pinpoint the exact second when he lost something precious and didn't even realize it. But the more he rewinds, the clearer it becomes. It didn't happen in an instant. It happened slowly, quietly, moment by moment. And now all that's left is silence.